For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Good Monday morning to you. There's a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, the VSiN app, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, all proudly brought to you by BetMGM Nevada. It's Gill Alexander back in the fold. Kelley Bydlon. How you doing, Kelley?
Good, man. Welcome back.
Well,
How was vacay?
Oh, you know, a little deep cleaning of the apartment. Real sexy stuff. Let me thank JVT and Matt Brown, who will come up here in a moment for great reasons. But let me thank both of them who did obviously a great job once again filling in. Appreciate it as always. We have tons to talk about today. The Bradley Beal trade, which, by the way, just going to spoiler alert this a little for you. I'm a little nonplussed about. We'll get into that. The NBA draft on Thursday. Who's going to be the second pick after all? Will it be Scoot? Will it be Brandon Miller? The drama of that. Will there be trades? Will there be trades that will really, sort of signal for us who the second pick in the draft will be and the third pick in the draft? We'll get into that with all the betting implications. College World Series with Brad Porras. Baseball, the Major League Baseball variety with Paul Sporer. We'll talk the San Francisco Giants. Giants magic happening. I made a bet on the Giants on Saturday, Kelley, to win the division.
Oh, did you? All right, cool.
A little over 10-1, plus 1050.
I've been grilling a lot of people about the NL West.
Oh, yeah. We'll get Sporer's thoughts on that, plus his thoughts on other things baseball-related. Wes Reynolds will join us. He had Rory yesterday, and that is where we will begin right here with the United States Open.
He had Rory and Ricky.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Well, Matt Brown had Wyndham Clark. So congratulations to Matt Brown, the co-host, along with Wes Reynolds and with Kelley Bydlon of Long Shots, greatest golf podcast there ever was. Shout out Brady Cannon, founder. Wyndham Clark's best finish in a major entering this week was a tie for 75th at the 2021 PGA Championship. The worst previous best finish by a major champ all time, minimum 5 starts. Louis Oosthuizen previously held that distinction. He was 73rd, his best finish in a major entering the 2010 Open, which he won. But Wyndham Clark gets it done. Matt Brown hits it at 95-1. And congratulations to everybody who tailed that as well. As the Long Shots crew keeps getting it done. Kelley, what do you have to say for yourself?
I had Xander Schauffele. I was that guy.
You played him to win?
Yes, I did. Yep.
Bro, we've talked about this before.
I made money on a top 20 on him.
Well, let me tell you what I did. I bet him top 10. Do you know how that worked out for me? Dead heat loss. Tie for 10 ends up in a dead heat negative money.
Yeah, he was a bum yesterday.
4-way tie for 10th. That's a whole nother story. We'll get into like players who you just absolutely can't deal with anymore. He'd be one of them. One of the great golfers in the world, but he's not he cannot win these. And it almost feels like he's not comfortable at the top of the leaderboard. But Wyndham Clark gets it done. 1-stroke win in the end over Rory, who, and we'll just do this day by day. The first day on Thursday at the Los Angeles Country Club, which I'll have something to say about here momentarily. But the first day, 262s, Fowler and the aforementioned Xander Schauffele. 62s at a United States Open. You're like, what am I watching? What am I watching here at all? And that sort of defined the first day. You're like, well, this isn't going to be a typical U.S. Open. It did steady a little bit, but in the end, we did end up having the lowest scoring average in U.S. Open history, 71.8. So it wasn't like your mom and dad's or even your brothers and sisters, your older brothers and sisters' U.S. Opens. Day 2, Fowler was in the lead, but what I texted you and what I texted Matt Kelley was, if you knew that someone, Ricky Fowler or anybody else, was going to have 18 birdies through the first 36 holes, which is what he had, what would you have expected his lead to have been? My guess was minimum 5 strokes. Yours was minimum 6. I think you're more accurate. He was only up a 1. And that's when I was kind of like, he's not winning this. You can't sustain that. And after what you've already done, only be up 1. Now, he did end up having a great putter on Saturday, so he did live for another day, but it all came crashing down for Ricky yesterday, where he shot a 75, a 5 over 75, ended up 5 strokes back in a tie for 5th. On I would say Saturday, third round was defined, or at least I thought it was going to be defined, by Scottie Scheffler's finish, where he eagled and then birdied 17 and 18. And you're like, a 2-3 to finish on this course? Oh, man, he is going to be the guy to beat on Sunday, even though he was 3 strokes back headed into Sunday. Well, in the end, Sunday became kind of, honestly, if you step back from it, as much as we were all immersed in it with our bets, it was by and large drama-free, because in the end, it became a two-man golf tournament between Wyndham Clark and Rory McIlroy. At one point, they were, respectively, Wyndham Clark 5 strokes and Rory 4 strokes above the field during the back 9 yesterday. And so you're like, well, this is a mano. But Rory birdied the first hole and never birdied again. You ever have those days on the golf course where you're like, none of these putts are going in. I just got to get them close. It never felt like Rory had what it took to get this done. Now, for Clark's part, he did wobble on 15 and 16 with 2 bogeys. But in the end, beautiful chip on 17 to get it close for a par, and then 18, he played steady as she goes. Congratulations to Wyndham Clark, and again, congratulations to everybody who had him. 95-1 for Matt Brown and those who followed.
Yeah, there was a lot of comments, if there was, if depending on a course, does Wyndham Clark end up winning on this? If there's water, you know what I mean? When he's kind of wide on some of these shots, it just felt. I think it's fair to say it felt a lot like Mito Pereira towards the end, in last year's PGA, right down the stretch of like, oh man, this guy's barely holding on. But he gets it done. He gets it done. Wyndham Clark, I know this is going to be a big surprise for a lot of people, but this is someone who has been playing incredible golf this entire year, goes from ranking in the 120s in strokes gained approach a year ago. Gill, he's a top 30 guy in that category now on tour. He's always had a good short game. This guy's putting it all together. We just saw him win an elevated event a few weeks ago, and now to get to a major championship, there's not too many guys you could say they've done that this year.
You bet anything for the Open Championship yet? Golf's final major of the year, a little more than a month from now.
I took a stab at Kelley again. I found a 32 to 1 out there yesterday.
Let's talk about Rory for a second, though.
Yeah.
Rory, who says nobody wants to win a major more than I do. Hasn't won one since 2014. Now it's sort of the major you would expect him to play best at. You play some of him, or is the number just too short? Do you trust him at all to win something?
Oh, I'm not in. I'm not interested at the number he's at right now. I'm not interested.
Were you ever interested in betting him in tournament during these last 4 days? Either was I, and he was so close to the lead the whole time.
I mean, you and I were texting a bit about it yesterday, but it was like this was a. Yeah, I mean, basically the one text I sent you, right, is this Ricky Fowler's been having an incredible year. Is this the point where it's going to be the major left on the table, and this is the peak that he's going to hit, we're going to start seeing Ricky come back down? I really hope not. Or is this Ricky Fowler another sign that he's just continually on the rise? I hope that's it, because he makes golf better. He is one of the most popular golfers on tour, has been for a dozen years. I really hope he keeps going better. Rory McIlroy, though, it's, they're kind of in similar spots, right? Like, I know we're talking vastly different at least result-wise, what they've done over the past 5 years. But Rory, like you said, we're still waiting on that next one. And you had a leaderboard yesterday where if you're Rory McIlroy, you would have thought looking at that thing, hey, I can go out here and get this done. And there was a lot of good stories out there that could have been, and Wyndham Clark, the giant killer, just stepped up out there and took them all down. I mean, it was an incredible performance by him.
Meanwhile, Scottie Scheffler does it again. Third place outright, 3 strokes back. He pockets another $1.4 million. 1.413 to be exact. Well, $430 extra to be exact. But Scottie Scheffler's finishes in 2023, Ben Standig put out this tweet. And it's unbelievable. Look at these. Just T7, T11, first, T12, T4, first, fourth, T10, T11, T5, T2, T3, third, and now third in the U.S. Open. He's averaging more than $1 million a tournament.
Yeah, over $1 million a start. That is incredible.
And that's 14 of them. You do the math.
And don't look now, but Scotty's gaining with the putter again.
Well,
change putters.
Well, yes. Do you feel like he's gaining with the putter? Like, do you feel like it's a...
He's statistically gaining with the putter. It is minimal. It was minimal, yes, for this tournament. And not as much shot length data that you're going to have to go off of versus other courses. That's a whole nother strokes gained conversation to have at some point. But, look, he did putt better this past tournament than he had been in a long time. So, hey, what we've been talking about is his historic tee to green play for the past couple months and leaving tournament after tournament out there because he couldn't get it done with the putter. If this is all coming together for him at the right time, watch out over the next few weeks, month.
I said it over a year ago on this show. You've got to have Scotty in everything. Everything. He is the most steady golfer we have seen since Tiger Woods. And by the way, Ben Stanig in that tweet actually says, can't imagine anyone besides Tiger rattling off these results consecutively. And then what about the question out of the last 30 seconds here? What about the question of who are you done with? Xander, are you ever going to bet him to win? Are you going to keep doing that, Kelley? What about Max Homa? Are you off the Max Homa train after this?
I've been off him for a little while. I didn't have a single bet on Homa this week.
You didn't.
Schauffele, I don't know, is an interesting case. Yes, I think look, the top 20, top 10 bets are always going to be there. They're going to keep being there.
I'm talking a win.
He's played incredible. Outright wise, I think you got to base it on a price.
Stop doing it. I know what you're saying based on a price, but it's like, this guy, come on. It's just so tough to watch every time where you're like, no, flirt, no, back. I would even send Felica and Will text during he's much more comfortable down at 7th or 8th than he is at the top, seemingly. Can't really deal with the success. In the end, Wyndham Clark with his first major, $3.6 million, and oh, by the way, 600 FedEx points. We'll come back, we'll talk Bradley Beal. A little something to say about the Los Angeles Country Club and the fans as well. It's a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It's time to download the baddest premier sports betting app, BetMGM Sports. BetMGM with all your favorite wagering options, along with in-game betting, boosted odds, specials, and much more. Download the BetMGM app today. Won't take you but a few seconds. Then you stop by any MGM casino on the Strip with your state-issued ID to open an account and start placing sports bets from anywhere in Nevada. Won't take you but a few minutes. Whatever your sport, whatever your betting style, you're going to love BetMGM state-of-the-art technology and fan-friendly specials every day of the week. Visit BetMGM for terms and conditions. It must be 21 or older and physically located in Nevada. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. Also, while I was gone, the Vegas Golden Knights won the Stanley Cup, Kelley. Congratulations to all here in town who are super excited about that. After 6 long, arduous seasons, I don't know how you fans endured it.
What a brutal.
You got yourself a Stanley Cup. I'm so happy for you.
Brutal start to the franchise, just a drought immediately,
Someone has to say it.
Was able to dig themselves out of that hole.
Again, when the Caps waxed them 5 years ago. It was 44 years before they won one.
Oh, man. It is, you know what, though? Me and you kind of make those jokes all the time.
Yeah.
It is amazing. I really don't think people outside of Vegas would understand how much of a hockey town this really is.
It really is.
The people here bought in hard.
Yes, they did.
You cannot go I don't care if it's the regular season. I go to the sports bar down the street for me. If I pop in there and ask to turn on an NBA game, oh, boy. Get out! You might as well get out of this establishment, son. You don't belong here.
Yeah.
That's really the treatment you get. So I'm happy for all those people.
I am too, but someone needed to say it.
But let's just prepare for the like every sport, every team in every sport. There's probably a 4-year drought at some point coming that you're going to have to suffer through.
They don't know what that is.
They don't know what it is. They don't know what it is.
No idea what you're talking about. One more thing before we get to Bradley Beal, because the complimentary piece of this golf tournament of the U.S. Open this week was the Los Angeles Country Club. And Kelley, you were sort of as fascinated as I was. You buy other things. You buy the crowd, which we'll get to here momentarily. But the Los Angeles Country Club, I have probably driven by it 1 million times in my life. I never knew it was there.
Yeah.
Never knew it was there. Didn't let Jews in till 1977. Didn't let black folks in till 1991. The standard United States private golf club garden variety of bigotry. But that's not really what I want to bring up. If that doesn't move your needle, like it does for me. One of the most exclusive golf clubs, it's the economics of this that fascinate me. $250,000 initiation fees, Kelley.
Yep.
No celebrities or social media posts. No celebrities. So, Kelley, if you applied, you're done. They can't have you in because you're a celebrity. You're done. They're like, no Bydlon.
Yeah, well, they got one actor who was a member.
One actor?
Yeah.
Who?
Ronald Reagan.
Oh, that's right. That was that Jimmy Roberts? Is that his name? Who does the Rinaldi puff pieces?
Yeah, it was
he's so smug with us. He goes, "You may know him by another name or another job. It's Ronald Reagan." So here's the thing. And okay, there's a couple things going on with the LA Country Club. One, it's owned by its members and registered as a nonprofit. So they benefit when California voters passed a ballot in 1960 that lowered the value at which officials were allowed to assess nonprofit golf courses. By the way, that applies to all the golf courses there: Bel Air, Brentwood, Wilshire. By the way, shout out to Joe Pompliano on Twitter, who did a great job about this. Great job on this. Jason Weingarten tipped me off on this. But like, I lived in San Francisco for most of my adult life, Kelley, and one of the things, if you live in a city like San Francisco, this is California specific. I moved into a rent control apartment when I moved to San Francisco. Otherwise, I would not have been able to survive in San Francisco because everything is so wildly priced. But
Right.
there's these laws on the record that only allow landlords to incrementally bring up the rent for not only your apartment, but for your parking as well, each and every year. So I was allowed to exist for 10 years, barely paying anything more. And you'll hear stories in San Francisco of like an older couple, and this is really what it was for, an older couple who are like in their 70s who are still paying $400 for a fat apartment in the middle of San Francisco because of these laws. So they also, getting back to the Los Angeles Country Club, in 1978, voters passed Proposition 13. That's what I'm talking about. This new law rolled back the assessed land value to its 1975 level and more or less froze the value in time. So even if the market value on the land tripled, the property's assessed value can only grow by 2% a year or the rate of inflation. So in simple terms, the Los Angeles Country Club's true value of the land is $8 billion. They should be paying, if it was normal tax rates, $22 million a year. But instead, because of these rules, they only pay a fraction of that. They only pay $220,000 because the assessed value is $22 million for basically a savings of $80 million a year. California, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that course, though. And then there's the crowd, which you were complaining about, which is details on the tickets. 23,000 for sale to the general public. Only 14,000 were for hospitality, and those were very expensive. Only 9,000 general admission.
Yeah, I thought that was
weird.
From everything this weekend, I at the end of the day, I really didn't have a problem with I know everybody was losing their minds after Thursday. Like, oh my God, we can't possibly have a U.S. Open where people shoot this low. I think I was expecting what happened over the weekend to play out. I mean, you still count up the guys that finished under par in this tournament, and you're talking about an entire 18 players. Like, I thought the course played well. It was interesting. It was different. I know some players had some issues with it.
Koepka.
Yeah, I'm fine. You don't have your typical narrow fairways and different things like that. But if you look at the final two guys and how they got the job done, where they got to where they were, it was two completely different styles of game. You had Rory McIlroy gaining everywhere off the tee and on approach, and Wyndham Clark gaining on everything in his short game. I thought that was an awesome. I think it's a great example of that. Was a great test of golf, because if guys could get to that point with different ways in their game, that was great. My biggest problem was, yes, there's a major when, and everybody was going nuts. You and I were texting about this before they got to 18, but it's like, oh, now they're rushing the fans in. It's like, right. Yeah, because that's everybody that's there.
Yes.
Like, they need to make it feel like a bigger moment, because this is everybody on site.
Yeah, Dan Hicks, he said, it's like all of Los Angeles is here. I'm like, no, not really.
No, that's everybody that was at the tournament that day, the whole 4,000 people. Like, I love those moments in big major golf when those crowds are huge. They're loud. And it's like, it was loud this week. It felt like a regular crowd because of the leaderboard, right? Because of Ricky, because of Rory. If they were playing that way in front of, tens of thousands of more people, like a normal major, like that would have been a different atmosphere.
You're going to hate me because I know we're supposed to get to Bradley Beal, which we will. But this is, I want to get you back to golf because I've said this 100 times, if not 1,000 on this show over the years, which is there is no sport from a sports betting perspective. There is no sport, I used to say, more ripe for a revolution than the sport of golf. And I don't know that we're there yet, Kelley, but we're starting to see the popularity now snowball in terms of betting the sport of golf. And the reason that I always said that about this is because it's very simple. No sport is set up this way. Over a 4-day period of time, a pool of participants, and you can bet nonstop over the course of those 4 days. You can do it while it's happening. If a book is so kind enough to offer that, you can certainly do it in between rounds. And yet, let me make this perhaps even bigger point on all of that is while that is still the case, there's two things happening. One, books here not really cooperating. They are elsewhere a little bit with that. But until books do it widespread, like even the offshore pillars don't offer beyond majors, right, on a daily, but you can't even get a top 10 or top 20 to save your life in most places. Certainly in this state, you can't. By the way, whenever this state gets legalized sports betting, that's going to be a great day. I can't wait for that to happen.
Well, you maybe missed another major development.
Oh, I see this is happening with Caesars?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
I know, we may have actually gotten one. Finally.
I put a same-game parlay in last week, Gill, just to say I could, and guess what? I chose two players that didn't even send up starting.
Oh, good
day.
job.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
That's me and my baseball. Make sure to follow my baseball picks.
Kelley's baseball picks. It's a 900 number. But here's the thing about the only point I want to make is, and yet with, let's say everybody did provide all the stuff that we're used to. Let's say that we did live in this world where everybody's providing like a DraftKings where they're providing everything and you're like, oh, sweet, menu options. We're still not scratching the surface. We're still not scratching the surface. For those of us who are old enough and can remember an offshore world like World Sports Exchange, these golfers should be treated like stocks in a stock market. And over a 4-day period, you should be able to bet their over-under final score at all times. This, like if books could set it up, and I know there's technology hurdles, and I get all that.
I hear you.
But if you could constantly bet any of these guys, Fowler, Schauffele, you name the golfer, all of them, at, let's say par was 70. So par for the 4 days is 280.
Yep.
But 276.5, 277.5, 274, whatever they're doing hole to hole, like we do with adjusted season win totals, but this on crack with golf. That is where this sport will one day be betting-wise, but I don't know if that's 5 years from now. I don't know if that's 15 years from now, but one day, that's what we got to aspire to.
That would be awesome. It's an easier version that I'd like to see earlier. Any round leader.
Let's start with that. Paul Sporer, baseball. And we will get to Bradley Beal. Coming up, Numbers Game, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It's always football season here at VSiN, which is why we're giving you our 2023 NFL guide early. Coming out June 29th. Our NFL betting guide will help you get ahead of the upcoming NFL season with in-depth profiles of every team, including advanced stats, proven betting systems, and proprietary betting trends, plus best bets on season win totals, futures, and props. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today for as low as $19 and reserve your copy of the guide, or take advantage of our summer kickoff special and get access to everything we do through the Super Bowl for only $175. Sign up today at vsin.com/subscribe. It's Gill Alexander. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Russell Smith, do you have any tennis plays? Christopher Schneider, hey, Gill, hope your vacation was awesome. Any tennis picks? Yes, we do have one this morning, and it has not started yet, or it's about to. Sebastian Korda, this is all on the vsin.com/picks page. A couple dog winners a couple days ago for those who played him as well. Sebastian Korda, -116 against Daniel Evans. Korda is the only pick this morning, so hopefully that starts. Hopefully you can get your bets in on that. Carl Neufeld. Oh, no, Carl Neufeld wants to know about, he's just talking about golf penalties and stuff. The Better Life. Tim Lawson, he says, nice to have you back, Gill. He also texts in, he goes, He says, LOL, your garden variety brand of bigotry. Yes, I did say that. Gilly Ice Butcher's my nickname. Says, welcome back. Hope you had a great vacation. Although with all the blah, blah, blah about the PGA, and getting what we all want to hear, a full breakdown of the Women's French Open final, and our girl Iga had so many parlays tied to her. Yeah, it was awesome. Elvis Toast Patterson, the same thing. He said, Gilly, welcome back. Would have loved to hear your thoughts. We're on Iga from 9 days ago. The in-game live line on her was plus 180 here in Pennsylvania. What a match it was. Any early futures on Wimbledon? No early futures Wimbledon. We'll talk tennis. Yeah, it was great. By the way, the French Open, which started out with an 0-4 day on matches, we ended up breaking even. A very trickle of a win in terms of the matches, but what a flourish it was at the end. We ended up 7 of 8 in our last plays at the French Open, and then really the wins came on all the Iga futures. So it ended up being quite a profitable tournament in that regard. Rick Ollier, hey Gil, welcome back. Say, did you make it to San Fran on your vacation? He's joking because he knows that's not what you say if you're from that area. And Jesse Welch, hey Kelley, I think we can now officially say that our streak of betting on Clark top 40/top 20 is dead and valueless.
Yeah.
He's right about that.
We're going to get to that point. Yep. It was a fun ride while we had it, though.
His numbers are going to get slashed.
Yeah. Hey, look, these are the type of tournaments that they're a learning lesson for me. It's the did you ever see Draft Day? Did you ever see that movie?
I don't believe so.
With the Kevin Costner. I put a Post-it note up last night just on my desk where it was trust your numbers. Wyndham Clark was top 8 in every model that I ran for that tournament. I played a first-round leader, and that was it. I didn't trust him in the big spot.
Let's talk some baseball, shall we? Let's talk some baseball with Paul Sporer from Fangraphs and, of course, the Sleeper in the Bus podcast and so many more outlets. How you doing, Paulie?
I'm well, Gil. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing very well. You are wearing the baseball hat of the baseball cap of the hottest team in the majors, the Cincinnati Reds. And they've won, by the way, the winners of 8 in a row, and now just a half game out of the lead in the big bad NL Central, which was probably worse than the AL Central, wouldn't you say, as a collective?
Yeah. I mean, no one, well, maybe not. No one's run away with it, which has kept a team like the Reds able to strike this quickly, and why so many of us are having a hard time fully burying the Cardinals as well. But I think there's more overall talent in the NL Central. I do. Okay.
So I know you're wearing the Reds hat, but you know where I'm going. I want to talk about the Giants. The Giants have won 7 in a row. Giants Magic do it. The Giants have their third straight road series sweep as they swept the Dodgers in LA this weekend. They've won 6 straight road series. They are now in second place. They're ahead of the Dodgers, 3.5 behind the Diamondbacks. I bet them plus 1050 on Saturday to win the division. They're right around 6-1 now to win this division. They've won 7 in a row, 9 in a row on the road since April 22nd. They're 33-19, best in the majors. Since May 2nd, the Giants are now 28-15 with a plus 70 run differential. That's tied for the most wins in the majors with Tampa Bay, and it's the best run differential in the National League. Only Texas is plus 76, better in all of baseball. So the question becomes, pick your bet. You must make one of them. Let's tie it all in together. The Giants are 6-1 to win the NL West. By the way, just to make it thorough on that, the Dodgers happen to be the favorite at minus 125 and the D-backs plus 350. But for our purposes now, by the way, the Giants now down to plus 475 at DraftKings. Wow. This updated. So what's the better bet? You must make one of them. The Giants plus 475 to win the NL West. Where's that number too low now? The Reds the Reds 6-1 to win the NL Central. Or, how about one more to the mix? The Orioles 10-1 to win the AL East. The Orioles, who, by the way, the Giants 3.5 out of the West, the Reds half game out of the Central in the National League, and the Orioles 5 games behind the Rays in the AL East. What's the best bet of those 3?
I think you got to put the Orioles off to the side immediately. Less about them, more about just the endless fight in that division. Even the worst team there, the Red Sox, are better than I thought coming into the year, and in a decent enough club that's just too difficult. So then you're down to the Reds versus the Giants. Where the heck did this Giants team come from? And all of a sudden, they're not the crusty old Giants either. They've called a bunch of guys young for the Giants, by the way. They've got some mid and low 20-somethings on the team. That's usually filled with a bunch of 30-somethings, but there are still plenty of 30-somethings. They're running the platoon game. They've got, Webb and a bunch of no-name pitch. I mean, they're not no-names, but they're not like studs. Desclafani, Wood, Cobb, guys that have their own flaws, generally injury related, but the bullpen has been really nice. I love what guys like Lamont Wade are doing. Patrick Bailey has come up and really solidified the catcher position, particularly behind the plate. His framing just since coming up has been like top 15 in the league. So, I mean, he's making an impact there. That's probably where I'm going to lean. I like this Reds team a lot. I think they're really, really interesting for the overall future. But for the immediate future, I have some questions still about that pitching. If somebody like Graham Ashcraft had come around the way we expected in spring and they were rocking, Green, Ashcraft, Lodolo atop that rotation, I'd feel a lot better. Well, Lodolo's on the shelf. Green is good, but Ashcraft is terrible and now out of the rotation. I don't know if we can trust Andrew Abbott, Ben Lively, Brandon Williamson, and Luke Weaver behind Green right now. And I can't trust that ownership group to empower the front office to go out and make supplemental moves, whereas we know that the Giants will absolutely do that. And I think they're going to put themselves in the best position to win. This is looking a lot like that 21 team that we were just like, how? And then they win over 100 games, 107 to be exact.
107 to be exact. Yes. You're right, though. It's the bullpen with the Giants, right? It's always the thing that doesn't meet the eye first. I just put in a little Fangraphs thing since May 2nd. Bullpen, most innings by like not by 30, but the most innings pitched for a bullpen. Best win-loss record, if you're into that, 14-5. But here are the big ones. Best ERA, 2.22. Best fielding independent, 3.13. Along with the Marlins bullpen, the best by WAR by far, 2.9. I could go through WHIP. I could go through any number of these, and that Giants bullpen is number one. And so I'm just... Yeah, okay. I mean, it's Giants magic, right? The Cardinals, the Rays, and the Giants are just smarter than everybody else year after year. We're not seeing it from the Cardinals yet this year. I understand that. But those three franchises get it in a way. Your point about the Reds, though, is well taken. And I know there's a section of the audience that's like, yeah, but you could have gotten the Reds at 20-1 a minute ago. Yeah, but let's also not make that mistake, right? And just let it go if it's going to get there. So you say the Reds to that question in the end.
Well, no, I still think the Giants.
You still think the Giants? Okay.
Yeah, because I'm not sure that the Reds are empowered to go make that team better. They have the closest situation right now, only a half game behind Milwaukee. But can the pitching get there? That's the part that I'm really, really questioning. Whereas I'm done questioning the Giants. When they start to look like a quality team, I'm not back on questioning them again the way I did throughout the vast majority of 21, if we're being honest.
Your favorite DFS plays of the day, sir?
Probably go pretty heavy on the pitching today as far as stabilizing my lineup there. I'd like to play DraftKings with the two pitchers, Burns, Paxton, Brown, Hunter Brown, Pablo Lopez, Merrill Kelley, any two of those guys. And then I'm going to jump on the Reds. They're facing the Colorado Rockies. It's in Coors Light, a.k.a. Cincinnati. So I think there's plenty of offense to be had. I don't really trust Austin Gomber. There's a lot of righties / switch hitters there. So give me a Cincy stack on the offense with two ace pitchers. You can get it done pretty easily.
Great American Small Park in Cincinnati.
Bingo.
Okay, and then if you had to make one bet today, Padres-Giants looking like a pretty marquee game. Padres playing much better these days. Is there a bet you would gravitate towards in that game or elsewhere?
In that game, the Waka's been pitching remarkably well. I know we just got done gassing up the Giants a bunch, but they're going with a bullpen game or a random start. Who's R. Walker? I got to be honest, I don't even know who that is. Ryan Walker. Yeah. I don't know who that is, and I know pretty much everyone in the game. Doesn't mean he's not good. He's put up some decent numbers so far, but I would go Waka there. I would go the Padres minus the 120, the road fave.
Okay. Shohei minus 425 to win MVP. You're just betting against an injury at this point, pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, that's like he deserves it. You're only going against the injury, or if you don't want to go chalk.
Yeah. It's high. Maybe not high enough. Paul, great seeing you. Thanks so much.
Good to see you, too. Take care, Gill.
Paul Sporer, everybody. Bradley Beal and the NBA draft on the other side. It's a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Turn a loss into a win with BetMGM, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Place the same game parlay wager with at least 4 legs on any MLB game. If all legs of the parlay hit but one, you'll get your stake back in bonus bets up to $25. Only at BetMGM, the best place to bet on baseball. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly and offer resources to help you make appropriate choices. BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 and over or older to wager. New and existing customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Promotional offer not available in D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, and New York. It's Gill Alexander. It's Kelley Bydlon. Real quick before we get off Ohtani for a second. Ohtani leads the majors in homers and RBI. And oh, by the way, is hitting 300. Angels team leaders, Joey Toons, put this out. Do you notice anything? You notice a pattern here?
Ohtani in every category.
Runs, hits, homers, walks, RBI, stolen bases, average, OBP, slugging, OPS, wins, ERA, strikeouts. Oh, by the way, he's also a pitcher of some repute, you may know. And by the way, shout out to Joey Toons. Not only Matt Brown hitting on Wyndham Clark, but Joey Toons, 92-1. He posted his tickets to the tune of 92 large. Is that good?
There you go.
It's pretty good. I'll save the tweets. We got a bunch of tweets, but let's get into basketball because I don't want to push it anymore. So Bradley Beal, after a career in Washington where he played for no other team and seemingly was one of these guys, Kelley, where I'm always like, well, I love Bradley Beal as a player. I love him as a person. But if you keep signing with Washington, what does that say about your desire to win a championship? That was always my thing with him.
I think that's a fair statement that I think the vast majority of NBA fans and people probably even in the league wondered about.
I think all of that is pretty conventional. Well, he had a no trade, but apparently he is ready to go to Phoenix. And so the Wizards and the Suns have made a deal. Bradley Beal is headed to Phoenix, and the Wizards get a ham sandwich. Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, multiple second-round picks. I'm told it's 6 second-round picks, which is just, what are you going to do with those? Can you? And by the way, multiple trade swaps. Can you turn Chris Paul into a late first? I don't know, maybe. As he's rumored to perhaps be headed to the Clippers or someone. And so in the end, the Phoenix Suns' odds to win the title drop from 9-1 to 6-1. They're the third shortest shot. We got plus 650 at DraftKings, to be exact. They're shorter than the Bucks. Only the Nuggets and Celtics are shorter than the Suns. And Kelley Bydlon, I'm here to tell you that from the first second I heard this trade, I was nonplussed. Because to me, first of all, we can get into the Wizard side. The Wizard side of it where, yes, they got him for a ham sandwich, but at least they got that contract off of their hands. And they get to rebuild for real now.
I understand for a lot of people out there. So it's one of the hardest things to understand about the NBA. But this is how trades work. This is a salary dump
100%.
Opportunity for the Wizards. It's an opportunity for the Washington Wizards to completely hit the reset button.
Yes.
That's all it is.
And there wasn't. And there's nothing worse than being an NBA purgatory where your ceiling is to be, maybe win a first round playoff series at best. The 1980s Washington Bullets with Jeff Ruland and Rick Mahorn were always 40-42. They would eke into the playoffs. They would try to eke a playoff. You could never win a championship. This team's not even that good.
You and I talk about that all the time at the NFL, right? It's the same thing. If you're stuck in that middle, it does nothing for you as a franchise.
And basketball, I would argue, is more straightforward even, right? Because it's just you either got the talent or you don't.
Right.
So from the Suns' perspective and the cut championship odds and all of their odds being cut, Kelley, I don't see it. I don't see it. One, they just traded for Kevin Durant and mostly sapped themselves of all depth. And we saw how it went. They had 2 amazing games against Denver in the postseason where Devin Booker went off, so they were able to win 2 games. But it's not like they flirted with beating the Nuggets in a best-of-7 series. And now what you're essentially doing is you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, hey, you know that thing we did with Kevin Durant? We're going to do it again and really sap the rest of our depth. So now we've got Devin Booker, KD, and Bradley Beal. By the way, I don't know who's bringing the ball up court. Because if you're going to make Devin Booker do that, that's going to take away from what Devin Booker does best, in my humble opinion.
It's Book. I think that's the plan.
And right now you have a grand total of 5 players under contract: KD, Book, Bradley Beal, DeAndre Ayton, and Cameron Payne. That's it, those 5 players. So you're essentially taking your strategy of we're all in and doubling, that didn't work, and doubling down on it now to a ridiculous extent. And I don't know that Beal is a complementary part in the way that team needs. So I like the notion that this number went down. I'm not making a single dollar's wager on this team.
Yeah,
and I love Bradley Beal, but I just don't get it.
Look, I like him too. I think there's a lot. Okay, this is what you're going to see going forward. The Phoenix Suns are absolutely not done. But like we just saw, there's 5 players under contract currently. They will be actively shopping DeAndre Ayton this summer. The problem is they just signed him to a max contract a year ago. How many people are going to be running out to trade for DeAndre Ayton out there? I don't know how many suitors they're really going to get. That would be the opportunity for the Suns to add some depth that way. Outside of that, we are talking the old Miami Heat days of 10 years ago, but much worse situation because of rules in the league now of veteran minimum salaries, rookies. Like, these are the guys that are going to be filling out the rest of the Phoenix Suns roster. So then if DeAndre Ayton leaves, like, size was already a problem for you. So maybe Ayton stays and you have another bloated contract and you've got size, but like, who's your point guard? Who's defending on the perimeter? So much is going to be asked of Devin Booker and Kevin Durant now defensively. I don't know. It's crazy. I think the other thing real quick to bring up about Bradley Beal, and you know this as well as anybody, Gill, this is a guy when he came into the league, there was a lot of excitement because this guy was a great two-way player. The defense has kind of fallen by the wayside as his career's gone on. If he can get back to being a good defensive player, like, okay, maybe that makes a much bigger deal. In 2020, the dude averaged over 30 points a game. That's great.
31.3 points per game 2 years ago.
Past 2 seasons, he's played 90 games, and he's averaged 23.2 points in each season.
Yeah.
So I think if you're going to be someone out there that tells me even at the age of 29, 30 that Bradley Beal isn't the same player as he was a few years ago, I can't really argue that. Now, or what is the counter argument? That he's been just kind of lazy playing in Washington the past couple years? You getting excited about trading a player for that?
Well, his true shooting percentage, just to make a bigger picture of it.
Yeah.
True shooting percentage, .593. That did match his mark from back in the 2020-21 season. So efficiency-wise, he's good. But his salary is already the 5th largest in the NBA. Only Steph Curry, Embiid, LeBron, and Jokic have higher salaries. This is we're talking about coming into this coming season. To be specific, that's over $50 million a year. But here's you touched on this briefly. Oh, here with Keith Smith. After they acquire Beal, the Suns will have nearly $750 million in guaranteed money on their books for Beal, Ayton, Booker, and KD. These 4 players combined for $723 million plus in guaranteed salary through the 2027-28 season. But you touched on it briefly there, and I don't want to gloss over it, Kelley, which is you said, oh, by the way, the last 2 years he's played 90 games. Mm-hmm. Well, let's just talk about Beal, Booker, and KD as a trio, because this is their new big 3. Beal, the last 2 years, as you said, 90, 40 games and then 50 games. Booker, 68, then 53. This is after the Tankapalooza years where he had the mysterious hand injury, which we all know and love. KD, the last 2 years, 55 and 47. So let's count that up. Boop, 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 boop. That's 313 total games. 313 total games out of... What is that? That's over 500 possible games. So basically, they're running at, 61% possible games played.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, they're not Zion, which we'll get to when we talk draft, but they're not exactly Cal Ripken Jr. either, or Michael Michael Jordan, to use the basketball equivalent.
And if you have one serious injury, like this team is. I think they're toast,
bro.
It is. Look, we're running out of time. Anyway. It's too early. Does this team just flat out, is this team now better than they were yesterday? Yeah, they are. I'm not gonna say they're not. Bradley Beal makes them a better team. You can't fairly judge this trade until what we see what this team looks like when they start playing October.
Yeah, and
there's going to be so much they're going to add.
And you're right that it would seem like they would have to trade Ayton. Ayton, who in that series against the Suns topped out in a few of those games at like 14 points on really efficient shooting and 9 boards.
Problem is, I think he's kind of a bust, and everybody knows it.
He was the first pick. He was the first overall pick in the draft, the Tankapalooza year. So, is that enough of a security blanket that you have to keep DeAndre Ayton 14 points and 9 boards at best against Jokic? The answer is probably no, and you gotta get bodies. So he should probably be on the move. But as you say, who wants him, and what would they actually pay for? But I don't get the betting move on the Suns. I really don't. Coming back, a little college baseball break. Brad Porras joins us next.